Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer because what we're talking about today sounds like pure sci-fi magic, but it's literally about to rewrite the global economy. We're talking about the actual physical synthesis of gold. Yes, you heard me right. The dream of the ancients is now a modern reality, and the implications go way, way beyond shiny jewelry. We've got a lot of ground to cover today, from spectacular historical failures to a mind-blowing 2025 startup announcement that is sending absolute shockwaves through financial markets. So let's jump in.
Let's start with the ultimate question that has haunted alchemists, emperors, and scientists for thousands of years. From ancient civilizations in China and Egypt to medieval mystics stirring potions in clay crucibles, humanity has been completely captivated by the idea of transforming base metals, like lead or mercury, into precious gold. They called it chrysopoeia, the artificial production of gold. For centuries, it was just considered a fanciful metaphor, right? An impossible quest. So can human ingenuity actually speed up nature and force one element to become another?
And the definitive, shocking truth is, yes, we absolutely can. Human beings have officially achieved chrysopoeia, the artificial production of gold, is entirely real. But the journey to get to this yes is filled with bizarre twists, incredible scientific ingenuity, and some downright scandalous historical blunders. And how we are actually doing it today? Stick around because it's going to leave you completely speechless.
But before we get to the modern miracle, we kind of have to look at the spectacular failures that set the stage for all of this. Because for a brief, wild moment in the 1920s, the world actually thought the code had been cracked.
Back in the 1920s, scientists and literal fraudsters were running around claiming they'd finally turned mercury into gold. You had Hantaro Nagaoka in Tokyo messing with high-voltage spark discharges, Adolf Meath in Berlin scraping gold out of mercury vapor lamps, and even this guy, Franz Tausend, who came up with this completely bizarre formula based on musical frequencies to produce artificial gold for the Nazis. But here is the reality check. Exhaustive tests proved these were all just massive errors. The gold, it was actually already there as a microscopic trace impurity. In one seriously hilarious case, a chemist kept finding traces of gold simply because he habitually took off his gold-rimmed eyeglasses before looking through his equipment. So yeah, the chemical approach to alchemy, total bust.
So chemical reactions couldn't do it, right? Because they just rearrange how atoms bond. But high-energy nuclear physics, that eventually cracked the code. Think of an atom like a Lego model. Chemical reactions just snap the existing pieces together in different ways. But nuclear physics literally rips the Lego blocks apart and changes the fundamental building blocks of the atom itself.
And moving from those early cyclotrons to the world's most advanced colliders, physicists actually proved this was possible. In 1941, Harvard successfully bombarded mercury with neutrons. Fast forward to 1980, and the brilliant Glenn Seaborg transmuted bismuth into gold at the Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory. And then by 2025, CERN's ALICE experiment took it to a whole new level. They induced deliberate near-miss collisions of lead nuclei near the speed of light, knocked out protons, and literally created gold nuclei. Humanity had finally done it. But I know what you're thinking. Why aren't we all billionaires right now?
Well, here is the massive rug pull. After 3 entire years of smashing lead atoms at CERN, using literally the most advanced and expensive scientific equipment in human history, they managed to produce just 29 picograms of gold. That is 29 trillionths of a gram. It's an amount so insanely small that it only lasted for a fraction of a second before just obliterating against the side of the machine.
And that perfectly illustrates the huge problem here. Using a particle accelerator to make microscopic, invisible specks of gold costs an estimated 1 trillion times more than just digging it out of the ground. So for decades, the scientific consensus was basically, yeah, we can make gold, but it's an incredibly expensive parlor trick, a total economic dead end. Or at least that's exactly what we thought. Curious about what happens next? Because this is where everything flips upside down.
Just when everyone thought the dream was completely dead, a San Francisco startup called Marathon Fusion dropped an absolute bombshell in July of 2025. They published a framework proposing a totally new direction, basically saying, hey, we shouldn't be using particle accelerators to make gold. We should be using thermonuclear fusion. They claim that by piggybacking off the massive energy of a 1 gigawatt thermonuclear fusion reactor, which, by the way, is the exact same technology we're currently trying to build for limitless clean energy, they could produce upwards of 2,000 kilograms of gold per year. That is a monumental, world-altering scale. We're talking tons instead of picograms. So how does this modern alchemical recipe actually work? Well, when a fusion reactor burns, it releases this massive flood of fast spare neutrons. Marathon proposes embedding the layer of stable mercury-198 into the reactor's blanket. Step 1. Those spare neutrons slam right into the mercury. Step 2. A neutron gets absorbed, but another one gets violently knocked out, which leaves us with unstable mercury-197. And finally, Step 3. After sitting there for about 64 hours, that unstable mercury undergoes electron capture. It's a beta decay process, where a proton literally converts into a neutron. The proton count drops from 80 down to 79, and boom, it has miraculously decayed into gold-197, which is the single stable isotope of pure gold. Incredible, right?
When you compare the numbers, it's just staggering. Traditional mining pulls about 4,000 tons of gold out of the Earth globally every year, but a single full-scale fusion power plant, that could produce up to 5 tons. That's 5,000 kilograms per reactor annually. Selling this byproduct could bring in hundreds of millions of dollars in extra revenue, which essentially doubles the economic viability of fusion energy plants. We are talking about using the insane value of synthetic gold to literally fund the clean energy grid of the future. But hold on a second. If a startup can just print gold bars on the side of a power plant, why hasn't the global gold market completely crashed overnight?
Well, get ready for the ultimate scientific plot twist. Because there is a very specific reason your gold jewelry hasn't suddenly become worthless today.
It turns out, the newly formed fusion gold is highly radioactive right after it's created. Because of that intense nuclear environment, the gold literally has to sit in a heavily shielded vault, just cooling down for 17 long years before it is legally and safely sellable on the open market. This 17-year golden delay is absolutely crucial. It means that even when the first reactors turn on, we aren't going to see an immediate flood of gold hitting the market. It acts as this incredible buffer, giving the world almost 2 full decades to adjust to a completely new reality of synthetic precious metals.
But you know what? The real secret here, and what I really want you to take away from this explainer, is that the gold is actually the least interesting part of this unfolding mystery. Sure, synthetic gold is amazing, but it's really just the canary in the coal mine for an entirely new economic paradigm.
If we look at recent academic frameworks on portfolio diversification, you can clearly see that financial markets are already bracing for a massive technological disruption. The convergence of fusion energy and synthetic materials means institutional investors are waking up to a crazy realization. Scarcity-based valuation models, the exact way we've priced pretty much everything for thousands of years, might become completely obsolete very, very soon.
And smart investors, they are definitely not sitting still. They're already using specific anti-fragile strategies to protect themselves. Because of that impending 17-year delayed flood of synthetic gold, they're buying protective puts to limit their downside risks. They're building these barbell portfolios, which means holding extremely safe assets like government bonds on one side, while investing heavily in high-risk, high-reward fusion startups on the other. Basically, they are preparing for a market where the old rules simply do not apply anymore.
Because the crucial point here is that a successful fusion reactor provides humanity with so much more than just gold. It provides infinite, abundant, clean energy. And when energy costs approach zero, the impossible suddenly becomes trivial. Extreme processes like global ocean desalination, synthesizing complex carbon-neutral fuels straight out of the air, and even transmuting other rare earth elements and life-saving medical isotopes, all of that becomes entirely possible. Heavy industries could relocate literally anywhere in the world, completely redistributing global wealth and trade power. We are looking at the transition into a true post-scarcity world. It is absolutely incredible to think about.
So I want to leave you with a completely mind-blowing thought, something you should really be asking yourself as we cross into this new era. For millennia, our entire global economy has been built on the fundamental concept of scarcity. Gold is valuable because it's rare. Energy is valuable because it's hard to extract. But in a future where we can literally manufacture our own gold in a reactor and generate endless clean energy like a star right here on Earth, how do we even define wealth? When the things that used to make us rich become as common as water, what becomes valuable next? Keep your eyes on fusion technology, guys, because the answer to that question is going to define the future of humanity.